Now we have audio because, you know, we have to do that every time.
Yeah.
Let me switch over to my notes here real quick. And hello. Welcome to tonight's episode of Roll This. We are a group of friends that get together every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central to play Dungeons & Dragons. This is currently our 25th episode, so we decided to celebrate by taking our game outside into the woods the very first time. So hopefully you guys like this setting. It's kind of a unique thing that I personally have never seen on Twitch, so something that we wanted to jump out and do and be the first ones to do something like this. So got a couple of announcements, and then we'll jump into recapping where we started up to where we are over the past 25 episodes, and then we will dive into the game for tonight. So first announcement is basically more about awesome things we're doing outside. We are going to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival on September 15th, which is next Sunday, so basically a week away from now. And if you would like a shot at a 4-pack of free tickets to go to the Renaissance Festival and watch our live show there, we are giving them away at the halfway point tonight. And the reason I keep looking down is because I have them right here. So we have a 4-pack of tickets for this evening, and then we have a fair amount of extra ones. So we may actually be doing an additional run of giveaways throughout the week. So definitely keep your eye on our social accounts. All of them are at RoleThis or /RoleThis, which depending on how you're looking for it. So if you go to anything at or /RoleThis, you'll find us, RoleThis, just like it is here. And you'll have another chance to win a few extra tickets throughout the week so we can get people out there, because this is a really cool opportunity for us. It's the very first time we're doing our show live somewhere as like a performance for people with an audience. So it's going to be really, really cool. That will be, again, on September 15th is our first one. September 22nd will be our next one.
And the live show starts at 4?
Yes, the show will begin at 4 p.m. and it'll run until approximately 6 p.m. We generally keep a 2-hour run for our show, and so we're going to kind of stick with that. So if you do want to come out there, those will be the times when we'll do it at RenFest. And we will be recording the live performance and then airing it onto our Twitch channel the following Monday in our normal 7 p.m. Central time slot, as well as uploading the recording to our YouTube channel the following Friday at 11 a.m. Central as usual. I already skipped ahead and went to this part, but if you want to go ahead and get entered now for the 4-pack that we're giving away tonight, you can go to RoleThis.com/RFTickets, and that will give you a whole bunch of things you can click on and get entered into the giveaway for the 4-pack. We will draw that at our halfway point break and then announce it in the chat. And get in touch with the winner, contact you, get all your information, get everything sent to you, set up a time to meet you, and hand the tickets to you at the gate. Whatever it is that we need to do, we'll call something like that to get the tickets to you on the day that you would like to attend. So also, as always, if you would like a snazzy shirt like this one, you can head to RoleThis.com/shop and pick one up for yourself. Along with merch, as kind of just an aside to the fact that, oh, hey, we have it and you can get it whenever you want if you want it. Super comfortable, super soft, all that stuff, the normal spiel. We are actively looking for ideas on how we can expand our merch. So if you have any thoughts, please let us know. And we have a couple of things in the works, but we are always open to new ideas. And if you share something that we all like collectively, we might put it on a shirt. So that would be pretty cool. But with that, I think that is all of our announcement type stuff. Yep, that it is. So let's start the recap here. Recapping what brought us to this point in the story. A group of adventurers were called upon to meet in the city of Feldar, in the northwest corner of the continent Anadar on the world of Urson. Mazikeen, the wandering outcast, a white as snow female tiefling cleric of the death domain, on the run from a dark and haunting event in her past. Her vibrant pinkish-purple eyes pointed ever away from her homeland of Kazesh. Her only companion, a shapeshifter that typically took on the form of a white raven. Kaelit Strats of Marikos, a knight of the bright blades, a male dragonborn with scales the color of a polished sword, Abandoned as a child, Kale had a rough go of things until he was found by a member of the Blades that taught him a series of valuable lessons on life and took him under his wing to train as a knight. Following the draconic god Koro, who was once known as the righteous warrior, devoted to cleansing the world of evil, Kale found a home with his brothers in arms and a purpose in the world that drives him forward. Through his commitment as a paladin of Koro, a special bond is formed, setting him aside as the chosen vessel of his god's return to the world of Urson. Bryn, a male human with no recollection of his birthplace, who is currently not with us, was, and we'll get to that in a moment, was a druid from the shifting forests surrounding Feldar. Content to go about his life away from the cities and towns of the world, Bryn was chosen to assist in this endeavor and given a direct order by his mentor and father figure Halfgren to be the emissary of the Circle of the Moon and utilize his abilities to help in this task. These three were summoned to a home within the city of Feldar by a mysterious drow figure, asking them to investigate a string of disappearances that had been taking place. After searching the woods and hills around the city, a trail was found that appeared to be fresh. The searching of the woods led to this. I skipped around there and started rereading the sentence again. The party sped northward, tracking the creature. On their path, they met their first form of resistance in a group of hill folk that attempted to rob them. A battle ensued, with the party coming out bruised but victorious, and they continued on to the cave of Sanasa, a large serpentine creature that, when slain, cried out with her last breath for the shadows to save her. Returning to town, the party met with the mayor of Feldar to report what had transpired. After doing so and returning to the residence that they had initially met the mysterious drow figure, they found that he had deeded the house to them as payment for their services. The party began to head for the home of the old sorceress, Morelia Graven, but on their way a commotion at the docks broke out, and the party sprang into action, slaying a horde of zombies alongside the dwarven captain Rugrak and his first mate Thimdall. After this commotion, they met with Morelia and were granted 3 visions, one for each party member. Maze saw the beheading of the sitting king of Kazesh at the hands of the evil tyrant Guthok. The king was then replaced by a man and woman that, well, not really a man and woman, 2 tieflings, male and female, that Maze recognized. Kale saw the marshalling of the Blades, an unheard of action, as they are regional protectors and guardians of innocence, not soldiers intended for war. Bryn saw an alarming scene of a multitude of giant spiders headed for his home, led by an evil Drider, leaving decay and death in their wake. The party immediately got up to leave and intercept this evil, but Morelia revealed her true form, that of a large black and reddish-purple shadow dragon. She revealed that she was indeed the draconic goddess of shadows and night, explaining that not all things dark and frightening at first glance are evil. She then sent the party on their way to intercept and slay these vile creatures. This then led to a search for Halfgren, Bryn's mentor, who was nowhere to be found. Suddenly in a vision, Bryn was shown that Halfgren had been captured and taken underground deep into the mountains to a fearsome drow city. The party immediately made for the mountains by way of the dark path left from the spiders they had just slain. On the way, they met Kira, the Wood Elf princess, leader of the most skilled rangers of the shifting forest, and friend of Bryn. Further down the path, they had another encounter, an ambush led by a being known as Zakai. They were all dark cloaked and representing the shadow in the east. Kale was dazed and captured, being teleported away. As the portal closed, Bryn and Maze leapt forward to follow, but only Maze made it through. Alone against a powerful foe, she chose to convince him that she was on his side by stabbing Kale in the chest. He accepted this gesture as truth of her nature, and they hauled Kale to the same dungeon where Halfgren was being kept. Bryn followed, tracking the trio into the Drow City. Through a series of events, Bryn was also captured and taken to the same dungeon as Halfgren and Kale, while Maze was left with a limited stay in the city as payment for assisting in Kale's capture. A plan was hatched between the 3 prisoners that saw them freed from the cells at the unfortunate and brutal expense of the guards' lives. As they left the dungeon, they noticed something in the last cell, a small female goblin named Coral. As the group of once prisoners escaped the dungeon, they made a wrong turn and ended up walking straight into the throne room where they saw Maze conversing with the queen. A battle erupted, with Kale slaying Zakai. As the guards were slain and the queen left alone, she transformed, revealing herself to be the dragon goddess of corrupt and evil creatures. She lashed out at Maze, who had deceived her. She blasted Maze with her breath energy and then snapped her jaws around Maze's body. As the queen swung her head up, Kale leapt forward, swinging his greatsword, and severed her head from her body. Maze flew from her jaws and landed at the base of the throne, clutching a leaf that Morelia had given to her at their first meeting. As the battle came to an end, the leaf began to glow brightly, and Maze's body disappeared, leaving a rapidly growing tree similar to the one the leaf had originally came from. The remaining group utilized this tree to transport away from the space, just as the reinforcement guards burst into the throne room. They appeared back in the shifting forest and returned to the home of Bryn and Halfgren, where Bryn chose to remain, feeling that he had accomplished what was asked of him and that the forest needed his aid and protection more than the cities of the world. And that is when Bryn left us in this story. Kale then turned to Coral. While on their journey through the forest, she had proven to be a surprisingly skilled fighter, and he asked if she would be interested in signing on as his squire. She accepted, and they journeyed back to the city of Feldar once again. Maze awoke, and found herself in a different world of dark and ethereal beauty. She was greeted by her raven friend, and told that Morelia had provided quite a gift through the blessed leaf. Maze was given the option to return to the world, having faced death for not the first or the last time in her young life. As she stepped through the portal back into the world, she found herself north of Feldar and began journeying back. She was helped along by a wild and friendly dwarf, and she safely met back up with Kale and Coral, who were not particularly fond of her after what she had done to Kale. The three decided that they must stick together, however, and journeyed northward to aid the dwarves of Dwevelhelm. On the way, found themselves in a dark and terrible conflict. Maze's shape-shifting friend, Lemore, drew her out deep into the woods, where he showed her a gathering of centaurs and werewolves coming together to celebrate around a roaring fire. He then claimed the prisoners they had tied up were humans that had been beaten and tortured. As Maze attempted to free them, a struggle broke out, and in fear, the loosened prisoners ran in all directions, some straight into the fire. Lemore then transformed into a great elven warrior and leapt forward, leading Maze into battle against this group, slaying a multitude of the creatures. It was in this moment that the being Cern arrived at the campsite with his strange visage of a humanoid body and a whitewashed deer skull head. He woke Kale and Coral, spoke with them about the choices and paths in life different from those they had previously believed. But then he suddenly sensed the battle of Maze and Lemore. He conjured a flame of teleportation in their campfire, and the three of them leapt through to witness the carnage being wrought by Maze and Lemore, and the once chained prisoners, revealed now to be vampires. Kale ran for the vampires in an attempt to save the children they were devouring, yelling for Coral to get the children away. Enraged by the appearance of Kale and Cern, Lemore attacked Cern, transforming into a serpentine white dragon. The battle raged on, and as Maze fought off those she had attacked, she was bitten by a werewolf in the moment that she killed it. Wary from the battle, she fell to the ground, and just as she was about to be run through with a spear, 2 arrows shot from the trees, crisscrossing through the skull of the centaur charging her. One from Coral, and one from Anadar, a dark-clothed elven male that stepped out of the forest to join the fray. Anadar had been tracking the specific centaur, as it had led a group to slay his hunting party and nearly killed him just a few days earlier. After enacting his revenge, and with nowhere else to go, Anadar joined with Maze, Kale, and Coral on their continued adventure. In this moment as well, Lemore and Cern battled fiercely, with Cern taking a solid hold for a moment, seeming that he was going to be able to easily defeat Lemore, but then Lemore, being ever tricksy, switched around, flipping him back, and was stepping forward to devour him. At that time, Kale felt the presence of his god Koro take over his body for the first time, launching him forward at this creature while Kale attempted to fight back against the possession. He ended up doing so, stepped back away from this, feeling that it was not his fight, at least not at this time. And as he stepped back, the forest fire exploded, to a purple and red flame as the sorceress Morelia stepped forward in her human form and conjured the flames into the night sky. Doing so, called out the location for the green dragon of nature, Tyrael, to land, battering Lumor away from Cern. The two of them then fought, Morelia transforming into her draconic form, taking charge of the fight against Lumor. Lumor, being beaten down, transformed into his true form, that of a shadow dragon, serpentine still in nature, revealing that he was the deceiver overall. He was slain in that moment as he fell against the trees at the feet of Maze. She leaned forward to kiss his brow one final time, releasing a burst of necrotic energy at the same moment that Chaol struck down with his greatsword, in unison, slaying a god. Morelia then took Maze under her wing to some extent, offering not the continued presence that Lumor had provided, but a more positive approach to a relationship with a god. Heading out, they then found the road again northward to Dwevelhelm. Chaol was transported away at the hand of Cern for a spot of tea. Actually, I believe it was mead, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But they spoke at length about the course of action that had taken place with the possession, the overall concept of what needed to take place for a vessel, and what could take place for a vessel and a god to work in unison. Cern also gave Chaol a ring that allows him to conjure weaponry in a combination of natural and crafted forms, giving it a twisted vine-like handle in most cases, encrusted with large glowing emeralds, where applicable. Then everyone met up again as Chaol reappeared with Cern at his side, right in front of Elandor and Maze, after they had just spoken with, I believe it was Gorma? Was the troll?
Yeah, Gorma was
Yeah.
the troll.
Yep,
And they headed finally to Dwevelhelm. Making it into the city, they were told what was going on with the haunting at night of the various ghosts and specters, elven in appearance, coming from the water. They attempted to survey this in one evening, with Chaol and Elandor staying inside, while Maze and Coral were outside, against the better judgment of all. There was a moment of intensity, whereas the ghosts attempted to surround and overtake Maze and Coral. Chaol and Elandor, not having it, burst through the door, throwing aside the guards that had been placed there, causing a bit of a hassle with the management of the inn that was settled by the halfling Durlyle, who came to their aid, paid off the debt, if you will. Not really a debt, but more of just the expensive repairs plus leave us alone, and bestowed a little gift to make sure that that was the case. Then he asked for the party to join him at his home, a massive mansion guarded by a large quantity, yet unnumbered, of minotaurs. He told them a tale of death and destruction wrought by Lumor in another form north, in the city of Nethrashara, where, unable to claim the affections of the princess Mithressa, he went mad and attempted to overpower her, was chained, taken before the king, broke free of his chains, and in that moment slayed the king and the queen, Mithressa's mother and father. Mithressa was then grasped by the dragon god Wallamo as he burst through the ceiling of the chamber, taking her away from the hands of Lumor for the final time. The party then spoke with Parthor, a red dragon that is a enchanter in the city of Dwebbelhelm. And after doing so, they determined to head northward towards the city of Nethrashara, thinking to find the princess, now queen, unclaimed, Mithressa. After some interesting journeys involving bridges, cloakers, and ropers, the party came to a point where they stepped out into the open night sky, witnessing the northern lights and a large hypnotic toad that came out, attacked the party, and was decimated by a rock slide caused by the Woostabast bow wielded by Ilandwar, which nearly also killed Coral, but thankfully she survived and was healed up, showing Ilandwar that there are potentially consequences to power. And after this, through creative means, the party found way upstream and back into the mountain to the main northern road they had been on previously. As they journeyed farther northward, they entered a mystical mushroom forest of glowing bioluminescent fungal growth. It was at this point they heard laughter all around them from various directions. This laughter was revealed to be a small dwarf, robed in white, pearlescent bands around the edge of his robes, and a large green beard decorated with a multitude of flowers. This was Wallamo. He led them off, and as they made their way away, they came to a point at which they didn't think they could go farther, but yet were grasped from behind by Gallimore, the god of wind, grabbed them, yanked them forward, speeding towards the side of the cavern, all of them thinking they would be crushed against the wall, suddenly finding a way through. As they climbed higher and higher after bursting out the side of the mountain, Kale recognized the location where he was. Off to the northwest, it looked familiar, similar to dreams that he had been having for some time now. Dreams where he took on the form of Koro, his god, and flew northward to locate his forge and stronghold. It was in this moment of realization that suddenly Kale dropped from the grasp of Gallimore. As he dropped, he thought of these dreams and visions and called out for Koro, and as he did so, wings burst from his back. He took flight. His body transformed, not exponentially, but into an even farther transition of hybrid form, a tail growing for stability in flight, horns sprouting from the back of his head, hands and claws extending and growing in strength. They then were dropped in the little dale of Wallamo, the home atop the mountains, beautiful, lush and green, and were greeted by the cheerful little dwarf for the first time actually addressed by him, feeling a feeling of overwhelming happiness overall being in his presence. He then told them that he would lead them directly to Mithressa, avoiding a number of pitfalls that would have otherwise been along their path. Gallimore swept around Ilandwar, who at this point did not have wings, as Kale did still have his wings, and Maze had transformed as well into her hybrid werewolf demon form, with her horns sticking out, 9 feet in total height, large leathery wings sprouted from her back, and a long leathery tail still in place. They flew on towards a fairly nondescript snowy cliffside. Instead of launching directly down, they were told to wait as Gallimore and Wallamo went down to speak with Mithressa and introduce them, as it were. Mithressa was then brought up by Wallamo alone to meet the three of you. 4. 3.25 if you count Coral. She's a little goblin. And at that point, you met Mithressa. You then gave her the sending stone that was meant to call for the king of the dwarves, whose name I want to state at this moment.
Cordref?
Dwarven king was a friend. Gilvis was her father. I don't actually think I have it here.
Yeah, I would say I don't think I have
the
it.
The nameless king.
Starts with a D. There is a king of dwarves. I know where it is. It's not in these papers. It's in other ones that I don't actually have here because we're in the woods. But the sending stone was meant to call forth the dwarven army. From the central city of the dwarves, the rightful heir of Nethrashara could call forth aid. And Mithressa, realizing that it was now finally time to truly take back her home, did so, alighting in a magical aura akin to that of the Northern Lights. She called forth that she would take up the crown of her father. It appears that the message had been received. And what's the name?
Sorry, you had, the king of the Elven city or the Dwarven city?
Dwarves. Dwarves I was looking for. Gilvis Sornway is
Gilvis
the elves.
King.
That's Mithressa's, was Mithressa's father.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I didn't get the king's name.
And
I've got it
Craig
somewhere.
Cordref was the warden of the East.
No, he's the warden.
He's the one that gave the
sorry,
exactly. So, at this point,
unnamed.
Mithressa then dove off the cliffside, being immediately picked up by Wallamo and gently let down at the mouth of a cave that had become the base of operations for the Northern Rangers, a group of mixed races. All of you, upon entering into the cave, see, as stated, 3 kobolds, white in scale, all kind of standing together, 2 large trolls guarding the entrance, well-armored trolls at that. A multitude of other figures, orcish, elvish, human, and a variety of other eclectic, normal, whichever thought process you have on the variety of fantasy races. We're all in this space together. It seems that Mithressa had gathered a group of varied individuals with varied skills, focusing not on what they were, but on who they were. It gives you specifically, Alandwar, a sense of comfort and piques your interest quite a bit.
I like the amount of inclusion that is here. It's very nice.
Which, following directly behind Mithressa, do you say that out loud?
Yes, I do.
Yes, we like to keep things focused on the individual, not on where they're from or what they are.
That's a good thing to have. I've been in some situations that hasn't been that open-minded.
We're well aware of your kin.
Yes.
They tend to be very exclusive in their choices of who joins.
I don't think that's the right way to do it. Which is why I'm here.
Precisely. And the two of you, Kale, you were attempting to untransform.
No. Yeah. That's what I was doing, yeah.
As you try to do so, focusing on returning to your normal self, this is halfway sort of a recap still, it doesn't seem to be really taking hold, and it feels almost like you're trying to force yourself to become something other than who you are. It's confusing, mildly unsettling, but not upsetting.
I guess I just have wings now.
And Maze, you are back in your normal tiefling form. Clothes have reappeared,
Magic clothes.
fitting you properly.
Yep.
The magical clothes gifted to you by Durlisle. And you are following behind Alandvar as Kale and Coral bring up the rear here. how would you three like to proceed?
How long has it been since we've last rested, or did we rest recently?
We didn't rest.
It was
Didn't really have a full rest. It was just like a
before the toad, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You
we
would have
do need
had
rest.
a
should
short
have.
rest on your travel, basically,
Yeah.
but long rest would have been
How long were we traveling then?
a couple of hours.
Okay.
You had to go all the
yeah,
way
I see,
around the Lake of Dreams, so and it's a very large lake. Like think, maybe not Lake Superior, but like Lake Michigan.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah, where you can't
people
like you
who-
can almost make out
We
the
were
other
flying,
side.
so we were exerting
Yeah.
ourselves.
Right, exactly.
We
You
didn't
guys
get a rest. He
yeah,
did.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah.
I got a full rest then. I meditated. Well, I don't know if I can meditate.
Not in that
Not in
instance
that
because of
You-
the
too much-
turbulence
Yeah.
Right.
that you were
So
experiencing.
no, I did not
Right,
get a
no.
long rest. I didn't get a
No,
rest.
but you would have gotten enough to have a short rest after Gallimore did decide to stop
out.
messing with you and chill out.
bothering me.
We
Yeah.
definitely need a rest, and you need to work on tanning the
Yes,
cloak?
yes. I need to address the cloak one more time today. Mithressa, we've been traveling for a long time. I hope it's not too rude or anything, but can you show us to maybe some quarters or a place to bed down for the night, and then we can start the conversation of what we need to do while we're here in the morning.
Certainly, yes. Accommodations are already being prepared for you. If you'll give us just a few more minutes, we'll have something set up here,
Excuse me.
off in one of the corner rooms. It's not great, not maybe what you're used to, but it will be more than sufficient.
That is fine. I guess while we wait, can you do like a short tour of everything here? I'm kind of curious.
Certainly. What specifically would you like to see?
And you know where you keep the bows.
You have two on you currently.
Yes, I know the collection has started. Let's see. Where are all the bows? And
He needs to
Could
kind
you
of
show
go
me
in
to
your hair.
your? Could you show me to your troops' quarters?
oh yeah.
That will basically be where you'll be resting. Everything
Okay.
is fairly
Good.
together here. And as you look at the space that you've entered into, it is a very large cavern. It has a fairly large entrance to it as well. Very like easy enough for the troll guards to walk all the way through it without stooping. And the width and height is well enough for them to make it through, making this 20 feet tall maybe, and probably just as wide. Rough cut into the side of the mountain, but as you further are led down this kind of passage, you end up in this kind of open space where it kind of shoots way up into the ceiling, similar to what you had seen in the Mushroom Grove. However, this area has a multitude of crystals that are growing all kind of along it in the forms of stalagmites and stalactites overall, but they are crystalline. And they hold with it this glow of multicolor held within each individual crystal that reminds you again of the light of the Northern Lights, the light that shines in Mithressa's eyes. And you get the sense that this space may have been pretty cool before, but the presence of Mithressa and Wallamo here equally has transformed the space into something greater than what it was. There are various tables set out. You see, it's a cave structure, so it kind of rises and lowers. It has various sections that are taller than others. There's a pool of water in the center that is very dark, but you see a couple of people kind of just swimming around in it, like just relaxing type of thing. And it lets off a small amount of kind of steam that rises up and seems to disappear into the ceiling. Mithressa leads you around, shows you that the bows are kept on those that wield them at all times. You have yours, and they have theirs.
That is fine. I have plenty for now.
And as you kind of tour around further, you see, and this is where we gather for meals and such. Those are at set times through the day if you wish to partake. If you'll be aiding us in our quest here, you would be more than welcome to partake in our goods and services here.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why we are here. We wanted to help.
Good.
At least I did.
That is wonderful to know.
We do. I do have some questions, though.
What would you like to
about
know?
it.
And
I figured we could probably talk about it over dinner.
Perfect. That will be in roughly a half hour or so. So I will send for you when it is time, and we will have our meal a little aside from the normal area, depending on what you'd like to discuss. At that moment, a younger elven male kind of patters up. I was going to say prances, but it's just not appropriate for the way he walks up. But he does come up with kind of vigor and energy of a young elf. And he addresses Mithressa directly, speaking in kind of hushed, like elvish tones that you
let's see if I can
recognize.
Can I listen in?
He's not hushed in the sense of completely unable to hear,
Okay.
but go ahead and see how much you hear.
It's a roll of 11
So plus your perception.
plus my perception. Nice. That is a 17.
17. Okay. Yeah, you hear the whole conversation. Pretty much all he says. For you two, do either one of you speak Elvish?
I don't.
Hold on, I might.
Because you have leveled up a few times, so you
Nope.
get the opportunity to pick other languages, I think. But okay,
I speak
so
Dwarvish.
nice, really, really helpful. Except for being in the Elvish
can-
area now,
Yeah.
would have been great back then.
go
But
back.
yeah, for sure. So the two of you hear this just kind of Elvish gibberish, basically. However, you specifically, and I don't speak Elvish this time because somebody actually understands it. You hear, their rooms are ready. I have prepared them as you requested, and they should be. He's kind of eyeing you guys like, these are weird people.
That one has wings.
Yeah, right, precisely. And this is a white tiefling.
Don't be afraid. We are allies.
You say it in Elvish?
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, of course. I apologize. I did not mean any offense. It's just, this is still new to me. I have come from somewhere else. So, I'm sorry.
Nice to meet you. Your name is?
My name is not important. But
We're
I
just like,
will. I will be going now, if that's all. Yes, that's fine. And
Nice to meet
she
you,
turns back to you.
Dalian.
That's Dalian.
Oh, Sally. Okay.
He is from.
New here, huh?
Yes, he's very new, and he's from farther out to the east, north of Kazesh.
And then I, back in common, will speak to them. They say our rooms are ready.
Yeah. And she, as you notice,
They move fast.
the entire time she speaks, she's speaking in common
Oh, okay.
with very little accent to
gotcha.
it. Just very easy to understand overall. And she leads you personally to an area where you can kind of set your things, gather yourselves. It actually has a door on it to keep it a little more private. And there are 3 beds set up in there.
I got wings carved out in the cave now.
You just open the side doors and you're like,
Right.
yeah.
I don't
Unfortunately,
need
no.
blankets anymore.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Caleb,
Sleep on the.
I would like to look at that cloak that you have on.
Oh yeah. I,
Which-
don't,
The
I
skin.
guess I didn't know.
I'll attempt to condition it.
Okay. And was that survival that we had done for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That is a 25.
Oh, that's why you're doing the fist pump. You're over there.
25.
Like a 19 or something.
Okay. It's good to get successes on that.
Oh yeah.
You did
Um,
So
the
it doesn't
25,
become
you're
a
actually
bandana.
not only able to work the material for today, you are also able to make up for
Oh nice.
the mistakes that you had previously made.
Oh, I did that wrong, and I kind of
Precisely.
seams and
Exactly.
it. Oh, that's much better.
That was a very good roll.
Yes, it was.
Oh, you
The
use
19.
oil and not mayonnaise.
Yeah. Exactly. So you guys are now left in your rooms. You have about a half hour or so if you want to address each other in any capacity, or we can call for dinner.
Are we in separate rooms or just one
Same
bedroom?
one. Same one with 3 beds.
Oh, okay.
No lockbox or anything.
Maze?
Make a perception check. If you get high enough, I'll give you one. If not, then there isn't one.
18.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There is one.
Do you
I
have
mean,
the key?
I put
With a
some,
key sitting on top of it.
Oh, yeah, I was like, do you have the key?
I just-
Hey, there's like box.
put some of the stuff I just haul with me all the time. Like my pack just goes
Yeah.
in there.
Like, I have a chest and a backpack and a 6-pound book, so I'll keep the book with me just in
A
case.
6-pound book
Yeah,
for
6-pound book.
no apparent reason.
No, no.
Those are heavy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a heavy book.
Yes.
What did you turn into back there?
Me?
You were. I was so confused. You looked like a werewolf with wings.
Oh, yeah, I got bit. The wings was just a blessing.
How do you do that?
This really. It was part of a training while you guys were resting.
Oh,
I
back in
can't do
Double
it
Helm.
at will yet. I'm still learning.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You look fancy.
Yeah, I like how wings was kind of cool.
I wish I had
Just-
wings
Playing with my own wings.
of-
Like,
I know.
instead of the
what's this do?
wind carrying me everywhere.
It's like it takes some getting used to. That was my first time with wings.
Well, good thing you didn't
Fine.
die.
Yeah, again, you know,
That's nice.
might have to ask for flying lessons.
I don't know how.
You did better than I did.
Which is accurate. It felt more natural for you, Kale. Whereas for Maze, it was
Guess I had a.
odd.
Well, I guess I had a another entity that knew how to fly,
Yeah.
kind of autopiloting in the back.
For me, it was I've had wings, but only in a dream. Then that's why
I had them in dreams too.
that's why I thought it was a dream, maybe. And
Those are
I
some
just woke
weird
up.
dreams. And Kale, why haven't you turned back?
I don't know.
Oh, you're stretching and run like bright bird. Blah blah blah.
No, I just
Oh,
I don't know why I haven't turned back.
mine
tried.
was potion induced.
It is you though, right? It is Kale.
Yes, but no.
Oh,
But yes, but also no.
do you still have your tabard? So, like, can Coral or did the wings just like eject her and then it's like,
Oh,
like
where
how's
is
that
she?
working? Where's
Where
Coral?
is she?
So the wings have torn through the back of his clothing and mail that he wears, kind of ripping like slits in the back. That would probably make it fairly difficult to take the attire off right now, but but have made it to where the wings have kind of a free opening whenever they appear, and Coral would still have her little pouch
hammock back
area.
there?
But when Kale was flying, as you saw, Coral kind of just rode him like he was a dragon and she was a dragon rider of some kind.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, so she's not evicted. Got
Nope,
it.
she's still there.
she's around.
So this isn't like a dragonborn going through puberty or anything, is it?
You really don't know anything about Dragonborn, do you?
No, not at all.
None of
No,
it.
we-
Yeah, no.
We're so Dragonborn aren't young dragons. We're completely different.
Oh,
You know, we're not mixed between elves and dragons. We're actually kind of like cousins to dragons.
okay.
Instead
I
of
can see
children
that.
or
like
brother.
the half elves and the humans.
No, not like
Yeah.
half elves and humans. Like
Yeah. No, not like that.
no, kind of like humans and elves. They're kind of similar, but we're not the same.
Because we walk on 2 legs.
No,
What? Oh, okay.
humanoid.
Humanoid. Yes, that's what I said.
Right. Well, we're draconoid.
Draconoid. Yes. All right.
Well, I don't know if you're annoyed, but I'm annoyed. I'm gonna go meditate. So May
Nice.
just goes on her bed just to kind of like, wind down because life lessons. I gotta learn to calm down.
Yeah. Okay. Roll a d20 for me.
Oh, maze.
Hmm?
Oh. 11.
Okay. It takes you a minute to get a handle on it, to get your breathing kind of sorted, and to try to block out the bickering between Elandwar and Kale.
I'm learning.
However, you do. That was a spider. We're really outside, guys. That was a spider.
Nah, that was a CGI spider.
Still actively is, actually. Oh,
Oh,
It
out of here.
was
Yeah,
a
see that?
spider.
go away.
get. Letting you live. Leave me alone.
So as I'm trying to figure out what Kale is, and I see
Yes.
her like kind of go over there, I'm gonna like kind of drop that subject and go over there and like teach her meditating.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, 'cause
perfect.
he's gonna, yeah. 'Cause for
Perfect. Cool.
So I don't know,
I was
is that
gonna-
rolling with advantage or just giving her techniques and stuff again.
Sure, roll again.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
You taught me a little bit something. That was a 14. Nice.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's good.
You do eventually kind of get into this state of being where you feel like everything just kind of drops away. And then you only stay in that moment for what feels like a couple seconds, but realistically is actually a couple minutes. So you're able to hold the sense of peace for longer than you expected to. Before you have a knock on the door, and just a nondescript guard kind of opens. Dinner will be served shortly if you would like to join us.
Yes,
Is,
Yes.
Yes.
Let's roll
Stay.
the rock.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Yeah. Roll the rock. Let's go.
Wonderful. And you guys follow him out. He leads you towards where you had previously seen the kind of mess hall area, but then off to the side a little bit, you see a table that's set up that's kind of, it's not actually really round. It looks like it's just kind of rough hewn from like a tree trunk, but it is sanded off and very nice table. But it's a little kind of odd shaped. Feels very natural.
Got
And
one of those in real life.
Like they took
Yeah.
that tree right there and cut it
Right.
in half and
Yeah.
made it
we
a
actually have
table.
one in real life, yeah.
and you see Mithressa sitting there by herself at this moment, with 3 other chairs there.
Reverse
And
kids table.
as you come up to the space, she motions to the chairs that are kind of set off to each side. So there's one left. She's the head of the table, of course. There's one left. There's one on the right, and then there's a third at the end. Who sits where? Who's sitting across from Mithressa?
I will.
Okay.
I'll sit to her right.
Okay.
I'll sit to her left.
Perfect. And then Coral
Yeah.
pops out of your back and just sits on your shoulder.
Okay. I was like,
You see, they start to bring up a chair, and she's just like, and they take it away. Plates are brought. It's basic, but it's good. And after eating for a while, in just brief, minor conversations, getting to know each other, telling Mithressa a little about yourselves without going into over details or anything, unless Elandor would like to at some point. But I assume it would be you.
Not yet. I want to catch up. But not yet.
You get the just kind of general like lay of the land type of information from her. And as the meal is finished and taken away, drinks are brought out. Fairly wide selection, so pretty much whatever you would prefer to have, you have brought to you. And as you all kind of sit back, feeling that kind of calm before the storm type of feeling, where you're relaxed, but yet a little bit on edge. Not on edge in an angry sense, but on edge in kind of that like you feel like your body's filled with helium kind of thing. It's that kind of feeling. And Mithressa kind of leans forward. So, what would you like to know?
I pull out the promissory note that I've been carrying with me, and I hand it to her. This was a promissory note of swords, well, a sword of 2 sets that you would recognize that are in safekeeping.
Well, one of them isn't
One
safekeeping.
right now.
And that one shall stay with whom it is with. And she kind of just tucks away the letter there. Durlyle is actually a trusted friend of mine. Kind of grew up together in some ways.
That's good.
And you say only one of the blades was recovered?
Yes, we recovered one from who I know as Lamore, although from history, you may know him as Samal. Unfortunately, he tricked me for a long time, so I was not aware of all that he has done. I took the sword that I saw as something to remember him by, but then as I learned it belonged to someone else, I was glad to get rid of it.
Yes, and she has this kind of look that initially is like this kind of understanding, but then you see the eyes kind of light up, and it's more of anger. He was known by another name to me. Zerlon is who he called himself while he was with us.
Good. Went by many names, but
He did.
no more.
But was he an advisor to your father?
Yes. It is at Samael's hand that Nethrashara fell. I should have killed him when I had the chance.
I wish you would have. But he is gone now.
I think now we can take back your city.
Speaking of that,
Yes.
what's in the city?
Well, what isn't in the city is those of us you see here and those like us. The city is currently ran by what we are told is a demon of some renown. Cruel and evil master over a multitude of vile and evil creatures. Demons of lesser power, beings and creatures that are known only for their torturous ways.
But there are innocents in there.
No. Everyone that was left there, well, innocent is a relative term here. Nearly everyone that was left there was slain. There has been recent rumor that some were captured farther north and brought into the city recently. We have not been able to confirm this, so I cannot say with certainty that there is any that would be innocent currently in the city. And that is why I hesitate. There could be a number, but we do not know how many, if at all. This information could be information sent out to lure us in. So we have to take it as fact that there are no innocents currently there.
Do you have any spies in the city? Any scouts? Do you have a spy master?
None that have gotten in and come back. We've gotten close through various scouts, but few of them have returned as well.
How long is it until the dwarven reinforcements arrive?
Based on what I know of those stones and what the gravity of utilizing one means, 3 days, as of tomorrow morning.
So we have 3 days to prepare.
We have 3 days to travel, because it'll take us an equal time to get there. We
So
don't have the means that you arrived.
Are the
For all of
dwarves
us.
meeting us at the city?
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
they will arrive from the west. We will arrive from the east.
Good tactic.
Your troops seem to be pretty well provisioned and well armored.
Most are those that were so previously, and what the fuck? Retained their arms and
It's back.
Another spider.
you bitch.
Oh, it jumped.
Goodbye, spider.
Bye, spider.
That
So,
retained
it
their
was-
arms and armaments from before the fall. So that is why they seem so well armed. This is why we don't have a storeroom.
Well then, we're going into a city of which we have little information,
Run by a demon.
run by a demon.
It is a lot to overcome.
Great renown. How many troops are at our disposal?
Those currently here. She kind of thinks for a moment and it does like calculations basically. We are looking at approximately 100 men at arms, and we have another 200 spread out along the range that have been called.
That's not a lot.
No.
So we're gonna have to do some pretty sneaky tactics if we want to take a city with 300 people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And Nethershara is not a small city.
No, not at all.
is it a walled city?
To an extent, portions are. There's the central core is walled, whereas the rest is more of an expansive open area, meant to harbor all types. Whereas the central core was reserved for those of higher standing within the military or the political structure. It is also where the Mages Guild is housed, where Durlau trained.
Is there any knowledge of demonology? If you take out the leader, the lesser become docile?
Make a religion roll.
And like
I'm gonna
at
make
least-
the same.
Yeah, because I'm like, that would be a 14 for me. I'm not religious.
I'm gonna
18.
just do it. But
Well, I mean,
I only got
interesting.
natural 20.
I just figured like.
Did you
'cause I-
actually?
I am asking
Yeah,
the
you
group
did.
as like hunters. Does anyone
And
know?
then what was it?
Would be
Religion?
Yeah.
Plus 1, so 21.
You actually have a +1 in your religion. I'll let you have it then.
Oh,
Um,
I'm a negative.
so, Maze, you having your specific lineage
Yeah.
have a variation on your DC. You do know that in general, it takes a certain type of individual to create the, this isn't a word, docility that you're looking for. It's not something that takes place in any case. Like, it's not something where
You kill the
you kill the,
yeah,
the
then they
leader
stop.
and then
Yeah.
instantaneously they're all just like, oh, we're going to bow to you, whoever you are.
Yeah.
But if one of the right lineage were to make a claim, it's possible there'd be some variation to that approach. Kale, you had a higher DC just because of the type. However, you still beat it. You get a same general concept idea. However, based on the kind of training that you've received, the best bet type of thing is to just wipe everything out that stands against you.
My
one of
assumption is
them-
probably like, if we take something out at the top,
Then the next one rises.
it's just a power vacuum, and it might
Precisely.
cause some chaos in the ranks, but we'll still have to defeat them.
That is exactly, that's exactly what I was getting at. Elandwar, you have had some odd experiences in your time. While you were initially captured by the tribe you were with.
Yes.
It was a very dark time in your life. It was a time where the torture you were going through initially, the slavery conditions, wore down the barrier between your world and a darker side of another. You've had various dealings internally through dreams and various unexplainable interactions, things you've seen, shadows in the night, that gives you this sense that what both of them have said is in both parts accurate. Not only will you need to defeat the leader of this group, but there will be officials of sorts, generals, that will also need to be taken out. And at that point, there would then be the potential for one to rise up with a dark enough visage that could subdue and claim lordship over the remaining weaker ranks
All right.
to end the struggle.
Relay that to them. It's like, you're both right. We have to find one that can make them all docile. But not everyone can. If we kill enough of the generals, we might have one that might make them docile. That might be what they want to do.
We're not here to deal with demons. We're here to help her reclaim a throne. We get rid of all of them, I say.
I'd say everyone we come across we should kill, yeah.
That is a persuasion I share as well. I wish for all to be out of my city.
If we
And
could
she looks
banish
very
them,
stern in that moment.
I really haven't ever, done an interview with a demon, seeing if they do like to, how they like to rule. So let's not do that.
No.
Maze?
I do not know how demons rule, only from history lessons and from visions. This is not a place that we would want to be or be near.
Yeah, I think we should pretty much kill indiscriminately. Anything that looks like a demon and talks like a demon, we should kill like a demon.
And on that note, we're going to go to break. So this is the moment when if you would like to head over to RoleThis.com/RF tickets, you can go ahead and get entered to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival to witness our show live on September 15th or September 22nd. And we will be drawing the winner for that right after we get back. We'll be on a roughly 10-15 minute break. Hopefully the sun goes down a little bit farther and get out of my eyes and their eyes and everything. And we will be right back. And yeah, that's when we'll announce the winner. So enjoy the music, and we'll see you shortly. Now. So eventually I will get that sorted to where we don't have to do the audio thing. It's gonna hurt to take that away and not have that part of the stream that's been there for so long. But
Like video and then audio?
yeah. But one of these days I'm gonna get fixed where I just click a button.
Sounds
And we've
terrible.
got
I mean, I
audio and
swear,
video
I
at the same
have it
time.
like macroed, like,
Yeah, I know, I do too, but it's just not working, so I have to reset it.
no, it's just
Anywho.
the macro is like, hey, there's no audio.
If you are the lucky winner of the RenFest tickets for this week, you have been announced in the chat already, so congratulations. We hope to see you out there. Hopefully you're close enough to actually receive the tickets and attend on September 15th or September 22nd. If you did not win, there's potentially going to be a couple other chances throughout the week. We have a specific allotment of tickets, and obviously we need a couple for family members and potentially ourselves. I think I don't remember if we have to pay to get it, give a ticket to get in or not, but we'll figure that out. But you have been contacted. I will email you later this evening and finalize all of the process for this. So with that, you guys finish your meal. Do you have any other questions or anything?
No.
No.
Perfect.
We don't.
So you know kind of what you're getting into and all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
I'm in here of a demon.
Did you have any scouts? Like, so we were wondering, the area had walls and stuff. Have they been maintained by the demons? Maybe we can slip in somewhere.
I wouldn't think a demon would be like, oh hey, you gotta patch that hole up.
Yeah, but they like to redecorate everything black and red.
So I'm a demon. Because that's pretty much what I do. We haven't gotten that close. However, your group has proven yourselves multiple times over. Your accolades precede you.
You're aware of us?
Yes.
Oh.
You a little less so. However, I have heard rumor of a group dealing with various oddities in the area. It would appear that that is you. With your previous skill, I would like to make a request for this. That being more well-equipped than those that have gone before, your group scout ahead for our forces. If you can get into the city, you know when we'll arrive, but you will be able to get there faster. We have to take a different route. It will bring us directly from the east. However, you will be able to get more straight to the edge of the waters and head up from there. It would be very valuable if we had this information, any information, on the structures, the potential prisoners, whatever information you can give us. We have ways of communicating over long distances that we can provide, so that you will be in direct contact with me if you are able to locate any weaknesses or vital information that we should be aware of, or if by some outrageous chance you're able to single-handedly rid this place of whatever evils haunt it. However, we are not requesting that. I would only request information that you can provide in a safe manner. Is that something you would be willing to take on for this cause?
I know I am.
I'm no soldier, but I am here to rid the blight of the presence of demons from this world and any other part of the world. But how do you think that we'll be able to get in where it's not exactly inconspicuous?
I'm pretty familiar with these lands.
We have passages that will take you around and through the mountains directly to the waters. From there, once you get up, it will be your own resources. Your friend here has spoken that there may be some weaknesses in the defense. If there are, then you would be able to alert us of that. That's primarily what's given me this idea. The
Can demons look
concept
up?
that there may be. What's that?
Can demons look up?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
How high?
I would think.
There's a hummingbird that just flew right between us
It
all.
just landed right there.
Hummingbird.
That's amazing.
Yep. Hi, Burb. It's it's chilling back there.
Nice. I wonder if it'll actually be in frame. Hopefully it is. But if not, I promise there's a hummingbird here. We're not making that up.
Still just chilling there. Yeah.
But what was your question specifically? Do you remember?
Can they? How high can they look?
How high
up?
can they look up?
Well, some of them can fly, so I'd imagine quite high.
Oh.
Their necks are
But
no
are you
different.
suggesting that walls aren't the best choice? Maybe we can find something that would be a better choice.
Is there a moat
Oh no, I'm just saying that
to this place?
we could scout from the sky.
There's a
But they have flyers.
yeah.
the Lake of Dreams butts right up against the shoreline. There is a waterway on the western side.
Okay.
However, the eastern side is open.
I was like, oh, well, this water tunnel.
I think we're curious enough that I think we will take their mission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But how are we supposed to communicate back? Do we need to like send an arrow or?
These should help. And she pulls out
Rocks.
rings. They are fairly basic looking rings. They have silver banding to them, kind of wider banding. And then they are set with a roughly like this size kind of stone that resembles, actually imagine this ring, but instead of the labradorite, it is a like opalite or fire opal type of stone that mimics the kind of armor of that you see in this area. That kind of pearlescent-esque type armor, multicolored when it moves. That would be the kind of stone that's in it. Utilize these as a form of communication. The ones that you can choose who you speak with. The ones that you have will be able to reach me directly, and you will also be able to communicate with each other over distance as well.
How
So
long of it
we
is
could
it?
ring each other.
Oh, ring a ding 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 dong.
Are there peak hours? What's my weekend in men? No, I'm kidding.
You should be able to utilize these at any time.
Okay.
Is
So
there
now
anything about long
recharging.
distance calls?
Yes, they are specifically designed for that.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, but so how long? So if you are here and I am cross country,
Is
They
there a
work
range?
all across the entire plane if both the receiver and the sender are on the same plane.
very
That's,
well.
that's really good service. Yes.
Oh, I like it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
about 300 feet, front of the plane to the back of the plane. Oh, I can punt too. But anyways, yes. So you're given these rings. Was there anything else you guys had for her specifically?
I've given her
no, I think we will
my
we
thing.
will set out in the morning.
Perfectly. That was what I would request. That you leave at the same time we do. As your road will be quicker, there will be about a day or so's delay between your arrival and our arrival.
Do you happen to have any mounts?
Mountains?
Mounts like a horse?
I do believe that would not aid in the journey here. And trust me,
Oh, yeah.
you will make it to the water quite rapidly.
Is there a
Cute
boat?
horse. No. I am a
Precisely.
Oh, there's a boat.
So you guys are then taken back to your rooms,
A seahorse.
given the evening if you wish. Do you have anything for each other?
No.
Communions or discussions you want to have?
No,
Just
I
for the
like-
heck of it, like Maze takes her leaves.
I wondered when you'd pick some actual leaves.
Yeah, he did. I'm gonna like do my origami thing and make a little like bow, and use like tie the stems to where it's a little bow thing, and be like, "Here's a new bow."
Oh my god.
Nice.
Just a tiny little.
It crumbles upon you picking it up.
Make a performance roll.
Oh. Okay. What is performance? Okay. 6.
Unfortunately, it's a very old leaf. And as you pick it up, it's in the right general shape of a bow, but it kind of cracks, like kind of falls apart in your hands.
Okay, I'm gonna do a sleight of hand so she doesn't see
Yeah,
that.
okay. Do a,
And
do a
then
sleight
just
hand.
say thanks.
And then make a perception roll, Maze.
Oh, a perception. Okay.
I'll let you actually roll it in case it's lower than your passive.
She rolls on that one.
Is
Perfect.
it one?
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so,
You
yeah.
succeed on what you wanted to do.
I got it. Yeah.
So you have no idea that it has
So
disintegrated
I
in
think
his
he
hands.
likes it.
Yep,
Yes. Does it look like a bow when I gave it to him?
precisely. All right.
Work.
So everybody's bedding down then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
We don't have to take watch.
you know what?
No, we don't have to take watch. Everyone
This is
can
true.
rest.
Everybody can go to sleep now and actually get sleep.
Yes.
So as you do so,
I asked Coral if she wants to go with us.
On our adventure.
yeah.
I know I put her in some tough spots, and this isn't exactly squire work, so.
No.
Is that like your private time? Because like I'm probably passed out right now
Yeah.
because I'm exhausted. So just out.
This is like evening prayers.
Gotcha. The DM is counting.
Pick a number between 1 and 15.
Okay.
I don't.
15.
I have a 30-sided dice.
There are 14 dice here. On 15, she agrees to go.
Yay!
Oh.
14 dice would have been I roll a die and see what happens with the
gotcha.
DC associated with it.
6 plus 9.
Nice. That's awesome.
Because logic.
I'll go. I don't have anywhere else to go, so
Okay, I want you to stay close with me.
I might be able to help quite a bit here. I'm rather small.
Indeed. We won't
And
ask you to
sneaky.
do anything that we think would be too dangerous, but being small, we might have you sneak into some corners.
And she disappears as she goes.
Yeah.
And then she just reappears sitting on the other side of you. I've got it.
Yeah.
Getting quite a bit more confident than you first met her.
Good.
It seems that the trauma of your presence has overcome the trauma of her past to quite an extent.
Yeah.
You guys have been through some shit,
You know,
Yeah.
but
when you come close
it's
to dying,
different
it
kind of
changes you.
stuff, you know? And she seems to be gaining courage based on the camaraderie that she has not experienced previously. You guys bed down, and who do I want to give something? And
Give it to Coral.
Coral has a violent dream of slaying the. No,
Can't
so
you just roll a four-sided? Because there's technically four.
yeah, there are also, if you divide a d20 into fives.
Oh yeah, you can
there's
do it that
fours
way.
So,
I just roll better at d4s.
Ilandwar, you have a nice and peaceful sleep. Maze, you have dreams of,
The dog dream.
oddities,
Yeah.
strange creations of your own mind
Oh, that's
that bring
normal.
you
Large
Yeah.
maple.
a great deal of amusement
Oh, yeah.
and humor throughout
It's
your
like
night.
Aladdin, except for the carpet is a leaf.
Coral seems to have a very restless sleep. You notice as she is sleeping beside you, basically, but seems to remain asleep throughout. And you,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
the last one on the die, on a roll of 19. You fall asleep, and where normally you feel like the moment you fall asleep is there's time that passes before you're brought into any vision type dreams.
Right.
However, in this instance, you fall asleep, and as your head hits the pillow, you feel snow behind your head. You look around, and you don't recognize the space. You're just in snow. And the sky is whitewashed with clouds with snow falling from it. And you can't really see much beyond 10 to 15 feet as the snow is so thickly falling here. In the distance, you see a dark figure shadowed against the ambient light of the area. What do you do?
Do I have any of my equipment with me? Guess I reach for my sword.
You reach for a sword and draw one from your back. It's not what you expect as your sword, and it's not a conjured blade either. You didn't have a sword on your back, but now you do. This one resembles your first blade and seems to have not only the imbued purplish, blackish energy along the cracks that still lie within it, but there seems to be a pattern to it now. It seems to be directed and focused. The edge seems strong and sharp. Only the center has this kind of flowing, spindled, crack type appearance to it. And it glows with kind of a different color. There's more of a bluish tint to it. And the edges of the blade have almost a whitish hue to them. The handle and hilt and crossguard are all ornate silver with deep blue sapphire stones as well. You have a blade.
Cool. I just kind of brandish it, holding it up in God, and I slowly approach the dark character against the snow.
Okay. As you get within 15 feet, you recognize, to some extent, the character itself. There is black armor that is broad and spiked, sharp-edged. The helm upon its head has two black horns coming out of the side to the back and arcing up. The back seems to have a black cloak that's tattered at the ends, hanging down over a long black tail, covered in spikes at the end.
Do I recognize it as Guthok?
It appears to be Guthok.
Okay.
His back is to you. So this is a new visage from what you've seen previously. You've only seen him forefront, both in the vision at Morelia's and in your dream. But you look forward and see what looks like yourself, to some extent, in the hybrid form that you've been carrying for the past day. On the ground, beaten down, sword shattered and just out of reach. Defiant, staring down this armored figure. What do you do?
I challenge.
In what way?
I just say, even when you think you've defeated me, I'm still right behind you.
He turns to look at you, and you see his eyes are these pits of red, flared up with light behind them, and smoke and shadow emanates from them. He turns and looks at you. There you are. He brings out the axe from his right side and grabs it in both hands. What do you say we finish this?
Oh, we'll have our time for that.
And he raises the axe up to swing it down at you. Make a dexterity roll for me.
20. No natural.
You don't move. You block the axe aside with such force that it sends it across, out of range of you, and it slams into the snow. Are you going to attack or anything? It would be a weapon attack if you chose to attack. Just the sword attack. If you chose to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Might as well. 13.
13. You swing the sword down at him, and he releases a hand from the other and just catches the blade. And squeezes on it, and as he does, you see his hands, the light starts to shine through where his fingers are, where the gaps are, and seems to be burning away some of the blackness, turning it to silver, almost in like ring marks along the center part between his knuckles. And it sears and sears, and he just looks at you eye to eye and just holds it and continues to hold it, and then throws it aside, flaps his wings, and shadow mixes with the snow, flying around, taken by darkness, and then start awake. find yourself laying on the bed still. You're back to normal, back to your normal space. And by back to normal, you are back to normal. The wings seem to have receded. The tail is gone. You feel the back of your head, and the horns receded as well. You feel like something's missing.
My ring?
No, it's still there.
Coral?
She's still there.
Okay.
Something about yourself. Not necessarily lost, but all the same, you feel this emptiness.
Is it the presence of Coro?
Make a religion check.
20.
Kind of. Great answer for a 20, right?
Right.
But you can't quite place it, though it does kind of feel that way. Almost as if you've pulled into multiple figures of yourself. It's unsettling, but you do fall back asleep. And when you wake and go through your morning ritual, the feeling is gone. You feel yourself again.
Okay.
You feel whole, you feel strong, and you feel the presence of Koro as it was before. You guys are then given final instructions overall of what the layout is, how to conjure spider webs across your own hands. Neat. And that's a cool little trick that I don't like.
First level or
Just like
Right. Yeah. And
just like
you're shown to the
So
boats that seem to be on a very quickly moving waterway. You board the boats, and who wants to be in charge of steering?
No, it.
That's gonna be a strength thing, isn't it? Don't be strength. I think you should take it.
like steering the boat.
Mhm.
In
Making
what
sure
style?
that you evade the various potential hazards along rapidly flowing water.
I feel like
I'll-
we should have a
I'll
lookout
navigate.
and navigating. Sure, why not? I'll steer. When in doubt, I'll be like, oops, water. Let's put us over there.
Oh, that's right.
Perfect.
You got water.
So it will be a
Wait, why don't I
combination.
steer then? And
Okay, then you steer and then you
you're the-
navigate,
You can
You're
and then
focus on the
I will be
emergency
ready
now.
for.
That's a good.
We'll
plan.
move our water over here.
Okay. So
Teamwork.
if it goes awry, I'll give you a total of 3 chances.
Okay.
If it works out on the first roll, I'll let it go all the way. Each one of you roll a d20.
Oh man.
Elandoir, add perception.
Okay.
Kale, add strength. And Maze, add... Add stealth.
Stealth.
Yep.
Okay. Ugh.
Oh. 20.
You
17.
person!
17.
That's awesome.
Plus
I'd be
3.
14. Would we get his plus little bonus?
I don't think it's a save.
Not on
Okay.
that.
13.
13. Okay. Yeah, it's meant to be traveled. The thing that you hide from is there are a multitude of strange creatures that seem to be hanging from the ceiling once you get near to the end of
ropers.
where this is. They remind you more of the cloakers. It looks like
Oh, okay.
pieces of tattered leather from above. And your stealth roll is to cover everyone.
Gotcha.
So, You guys notice him, you notice him, point him out, and everyone kind of just, and Kale, you hold steady, steering the boat along as the water kind of slows and exits the cave. Hit the lake, slowly across the smooth surface, and head back towards the shore as you've been warned of the waters. Traveling along the shore, who will be leading?
I shall lead.
We're going to have one more landmark take place.
I shall lead.
Okay?
So this is off the boat now, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you've stored the boat away, a ways away from the cave, as you were instructed, kind of hidden it under some bushes. Make a perception roll.
Is this mountainous terrain?
Yes.
Again? Okay. 17.
17. Okay. So as you come up around a bend in the shoreline, you notice this large hulking figure, white fur, bluish curled horns that kind of come up and point forward. Has this kind of somewhat humanoid structure, but more bestial. And it walks bipedal and then goes down to the water and seems to then go kind of into this quadrupedal, hands and feet type of crawling along. Snatches a fish out of the water.
I would stop the party and everyone, do you see that thing out there? Yeah. I think we should go around. Okay. We shall go around.
Your options for a round.
Well, can I don't know, can you use Thaumaturge to cast your voice? Or is it just a sound? I can't remember.
There are specific variants of the way people interpret it that say you cannot.
Oh wait, it says your voice
However,
can boom up to 3 times as loud.
I would say
I can create its sound. I can alter
you
the
could have
appearance
it,
of my eyes? What?
You can have it happen from up to 30 feet away. The sound can originate.
Okay.
So yes, to answer your question. However, you have 30 feet to do so. And at this point, you would be... That's not far enough. Probably about 300 feet away.
But we can see it.
Like a football field distance, basically, from end zone to
I mean,
end
we
zone.
can see it, but what I'd like to do is Thaumaturge my voice in, basically, if we plan on going around, say, to the left, I want to Thaumaturge directionally to the right, cast my voice in Infernal, and just say, good day. Just to see if it replies back.
What is the lay of the land? Do we have enough space to
stay out of
past this
sight?
thing?
Yeah.
The way you worded that, you get an answer before it happens, because you said if and if and if, and put a lot of restrictions on whether or not it would happen. So your pathway here is a shoreline that comes up to a mountainside.
Not much.
It's like we've been here before.
There is the potential to scale the mountain. It will be difficult, but you could theoretically do it. However, it kind of seems to defeat the purpose based on the time frame that you have available to you.
Yeah.
And better options seem to be either to potentially go through the water somehow, even though it is a cold mountain region, or to somehow attempt to sneak behind the creature or something of that nature.
It is distracted, but if we all stealth and just kill it where it lies, maybe we all get stealth attacks and die quickly. It's big though. Very big.
It is specifically, I don't know if I have the height on it.
I mean, we can just try to kill it.
And I mean, an unnecessary fight on something like this might not be the best option, but
Yeah, so I don't know
Well,
if
if you
it's
don't want to scale the
demonic
mountain
or not.
or risk hypothermia, seems necessary.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna sneak past it. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
be
I just
touching
wanted to
it,
test
but
to see if it was
not very
intelligent enough or if that would cause rage to hear. a
At this
voice.
moment, it seems to have no idea you're there.
Oh.
None whatsoever. It is completely,
It's
utterly
transfixed.
enthralled on what it's doing.
Okay. I say let's PWAT next to it. Pass without a trace.
Okay.
Yeah. Pwat.
Pwat!
Yep.
We're gonna
Shirt
pwat.
idea. Shirt idea. Like a SWAT shirt, but it says Pwat, and it's passed without a trace
Yes.
underneath of it.
I mean, yeah.
Coming soon.
Alright, item will cast Pass Without a Trace.
Pwat.
On
Get the pwat out of there. Yeah, so should we all just roll for stealth?
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing you gotta roll. It just happens.
You just
right?
get an extra
Plus 10. Yep.
Okay. Oh, that is good. 18. Thank you. That put me at 18.
Still
Because I rolled a 4 plus my 4 plus his 10.
25.
24.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting. And which was yours?
14.
Okay.
No, sorry, 18. 18, because 4 plus his 10. I rolled a 4.
I got it. There's a thing flying around me. I went, and actually got
Flap.
it. No, I got it, but I also got
It is 18. Yeah,
yeah. No,
Yeah,
it is. So
18,
4
sorry.
and then 10. Okay.
Me.
Then. Dungeons and Dragons. You guys managed to walk right behind this creature. There's a couple trees that seem to grow here on the edge of the water, and you slowly weave your way through each one, stopping, quietly and slowly walking, stopping, quietly and slowly walking, barely breathing. Get past,
Sorry.
and you get about 30 feet or so away. Turn, look back, and you see it kind of tense up a little bit. It looks to its left and it doesn't look back to its right. Kind of. And then just turns, looking down at the ground, picking up where it would have looked to its right at you. Looks down, picks up another large fish, and just kind of starts walking back towards the mountains. As you kind of passed behind it, you saw that there appeared to be another cave, kind of roughly in there with bones and such strewn about in front of it. And this large creature that stands roughly 20 feet tall
Gourmand, because it got him.
walks into that cave. Passed without a trace.
Good
Flat.
stuff.
The best that it got, I even gave it, so it rolled a natural 1 the first time to just notice whether or not you were there at all. And then after you did the thing, I was like, okay, well, they're getting really close, so I'm going to roll again.
Yeah.
And he rolled a 12. So yours, if it had been a 14, would have been super close, but
Yeah.
still just enough. And that's why I was, one of the reasons why I was like, I'm going to roll again just to see what happens. And you have avoided
Yeah, and I, for fun,
encounter
I
with an
rolled a
abominable
performance
yeti.
because I was going to do like a little leaf fish and just leave it there,
Yeah.
but I only rolled a
You can save all those
8.
spell slots for the demons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which actually is really good because otherwise you would have needed an extra rest or something
Yep.
beforehand. Which you probably would have got even as a 2-day trip for this way. So technically you would have got it either way, but we're good.
We'll get there even faster.
So then as you go back towards the water, something bursts out of it. No, we're not
And
attack
you'll
you.
die.
What we are going to do,
Megalodon.
however,
What?
And
is
Yeti jumps out of the water.
you guys continue on
the
through the
shark.
evening. Do another perception check for me, just as a general deal.
General deal.
Right now I got that like rot smell that you were talking about. It's
17.
coming from over there.
17.
17?
Yes.
Okay. You actually managed to lead the party around a couple of other cave-type areas, alerting, slowing, and slowly passing these spaces. Not triggering any other encounters of any type.
Pass without a trace is 1 hour.
Yeah,
So.
and for the next hour or so, you travel on with quite silent travel. Feeling that this may be an area where these type of creatures tend to be regularly, you do manage to make it into a more plains type of area where the mountains kind of seem to pull away, and then you're met by a sparse forest. Mostly evergreens of various types, spaced out. Similar to, like, honestly, this is ridiculous, it's a comparison, but similar to like a Christmas tree farm. How there's trees like
still see
all over, you
space.
can still see through everything, almost in like a grid type pattern. It's sporadic, so it's not gridded like that, but you still have, like, if you look at these trees, like, you can see through those ones. And you can see through those ones. It's like that kind of thing.
Okay.
This is a wonderful, finally, being out here paid
now
off.
you can use it.
It's kind of like that
Yeah.
gap there and that gap there. You know, there's these clusters that you're traveling through.
So you can see about 300 feet, and then it kind of
Approximately, yeah, exactly. And you end up finding, through your perception, a nice little spot against some boulders that seem to be kind of strewn up into this area from a larger rock slide or glacial movement of some kind. Just this weird kind of outcropping that seems to be a decent spot to bed down for the night.
I'm gonna check to make sure there isn't anything else like hanging out here, like that hasn't
Make
been
another
here
roll
before.
then.
All I could think of is Eddie Murphy as Donkey. Look
Oh,
at that
God.
boulder.
No.
That's a nice
Was
boulder.
that a survival?
It was perception.
Okay, another perception.
Perception thing?
It should be the same bonus, isn't it?
It is.
So you're still scared.
It's not good. An 8.
Really?
It's fine. It's completely
Okay,
fine.
Looks good.
I mean, I rolled a 2, but I have bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like a really nice, safe space. No worries whatsoever.
Can Maze like sniff the air for any danger?
Go ahead and make a perception roll.
Can you smell danger?
Can I smell danger? Like Lassie? I probably can't. That was a 16 and we're doing perception. Dirty 20.
Smells a little weird. There's something in the air. Can't quite discern where it's coming from or how close it is, but there seems to be a smell.
We're still like a day's travel away from.
Approximately, yeah.
Okay. I think this might be one of our best bets to bed here and then make the rest of the travel in the next day.
We'll just have to be wary.
I will set up cordon of arrows.
I could
You and
smell
your
it
arrows.
coming in the air tonight.
Oh.
Ba-do-ba-do-ba-do.
So I will set up. So it's like a bunch of rocks kind of making one side, and I will set them. I'll actually set 2 kind of further out,
Okay.
and then 2 closer in.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a line from the way you came from,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those 2 of them will be almost 60. They'll be covering the first 60 feet and then 30 feet into our camp.
Okay. Yeah.
For fun, Maze goes and stacks rocks like in the Blair Witch. Just stacks them. I saw it somewhere.
Okay. Sounds
then
good.
sets it up.
So you make a little
Next to my arrows.
cairn?
Yeah,
Cairn,
it'd be
I
like
think
a
is what
little
that's
cairn,
called. A
yeah.
little cairn.
Maze, what are you doing?
It felt right.
Okay.
See, she's kind of carved in like Maze was here in the dirt below it. In Infernal.
Yeah, and then one leaf on top of it. Like it's like when you're doing that garnish. I'm like, there you go.
Make a weather roll.
A weather roll. Oh, okay.
Nat
Nat 20.
Yeah.
It's perfectly calm. The leaf stays affixed in place, almost as if it was nailed to the rocks. And it doesn't seem to be any inclement weather on the way. Nice clear sky as it darkens up. Do you guys light a fire? It's cold here.
It is pretty cool. I'm
We're a
cold.
full day's travel, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we
It's
are
not-
kind of covered in.
I was gonna say
I'll do
that's not within horizon distance. So
I'll do just another survivalist style of trying to make it with no smoke.
Oh yeah, do that.
Oh yeah. The fancy way.
21.
Wow.
Yeah. You do the exact same thing
Yeah,
again.
roll
You
that
craft
side.
you craft this fire in a way, picking specific limbs from the area around you, making sure not to get any that are too young, too green, because those are what you know would cause more smoke. So you find the oldest, driest wood, create a very nice hot fire that little puffs come off of smoke, but otherwise seems to burn away any of the fumes that could come from it.
All right, Kia, let me see that cloak one more time. Ooh. Same roll as last time, a 19. So the
25 again.
Whatever it was, yeah.
You have successfully accomplished what you needed to do to make sure that this was hemmed and cured to the best possible fashion. And now you have a fully wearable, fully cured, so it's not gonna rot and stink and all that. Basically leather cloak made from the skin of a cloaker. The head serves as the hood, the fangs and teeth over it, but filed in a way to where they don't poke into the wearer, but kind of poke slightly outwards, just giving it a little bit of a brim to them, based on the way that you've kind of carved them down, and making it a very comfortable and effective form of, that was a 25?
Yeah.
Cloak.
It will also generate a bit of aid to the one that wears it in stealth overall. Anyone wearing the cloaker's cloak will have advantage on stealth rolls.
Nice.
Because of how well you've crafted it, it retains, and how quickly you've done so, it retains a lot of the overall properties of the cloaker itself to blend into the environment and to kind of vanish into a wall or such.
It's kind of like the membranes stayed
And I'll-
alive in the
I'll-
skin cells.
Kind of
Okay.
look it over, smile,
Scotch
ear
berry.
to ear. Quero trats. It is complete.
take a look at it.
Put it on.
You should do the thing they
Put
do
it
in the
on.
video with the dog, and you're like,
Truly magnificent work.
It really is.
And just put it on, clasp it.
Yep. Of course, it has a
it's like
clasp.
the Harry Potter
that
thing
little
where we
lady
only
clasp.
see.
Yep. And yeah.
Hood.
Horrifying. Utterly horrifying when he puts the hood up. The eyes are still intact over the top, and the teeth kind of meld down just over to where you see eyes, teeth, because he's a dragonborn, so he's got
faces,
quite a bit of teeth as well. And the actual clasp is made out of the bottom set for the jaw of teeth. That's kind of the bones and teeth of that make that clasp. And you're now wearing the cloaker's cloak.
Awesome.
I have a cloak.
And
And
I
wings
think you'll find
sometimes.
that you can hide a little bit more easily inside that.
The big dragon hiding.
I need all the help I
Could be
can
quite
get.
beneficial for a large silvery dragon boy.
Yeah. Definitely
Pretty
needs
nice.
it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Perfect. So
Do
you
you have to
guys,
pre-cut wing holes?
Oh, I haven't even thought about that. Yeah,
It's okay. He'll
don't-
make them.
No, I'm
It's
not
a
gonna
cloak.
try.
It's a cloak.
so theoretically could run down the middle of the wings if they reappear.
Okay.
So with that, you guys kind of bed down, taking watch as needed, and as an order we will establish next week. Because this is where we will pick up at the Kansas City Renaissance Festival next Sunday, September 15th at 4 p.m. Central Time. The episode will air live right here, twitch.tv/RoleThis at 7 p.m. Central on Monday the 16th in our normal time slot. We hope to see as many of you as possible out there at the event. It would be absolutely amazing to have people that actually watch the show attending. We're pumped just the fact that we're there, but it would be wonderful to actually meet some of you in person. We'll do everything in our power to actually do so if you do arrive. Yeah, we're super pumped. So hopefully this all worked out and survived as well. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching. Adios.